The Lucian suggests that, you know what, because we're going to likely first pick our AD carry, we don't want to give you the ability to answer with Lucian, which means that the Kalista first pick is likely to be, nope, Tristana. They've clearly identified, no Tristana for you, Creme. We're not going to give you that ability.
I think this is also a great shout because it lets Hansam and Mickey counter-pick the other side, right? So we got to see the Draven come out as the first pick for top esports. Now we're getting the Kalista to come out, and Hui has been the third champion that his Creme has performed on domestically. So wouldn't be surprised to see him go back towards that, or looking at the Corki once more.
All right, Corki coming in once again. He did manage to solo kill Caps in the last game, so you can understand that he's probably pretty comfortable going back towards it. Now, if I was G2, I'd probably just straight up lock Cog Braum. If it ain't broke, guys, don't fix it.
No, it looked very broken, to be honest.
Well, that's a good point.
I wonder if they'll just go for the Varus here, or if instead they have something else prepared. What have they been cooking? Oh, no.
Wow.
Oh, no. Is he really going to do it to him? He's locked it in!
All right, Hansama.
So JackeyLove in China is known for his Draven, but in Europe, Hansama is equally as known for his Draven. It is permabanned against him. Rarely will you ever see this man get his hands on it. And after wiping the floor with JackeyLove against his Draven, he's now going to lock it in for himself.
Even here at MSI, it has an 88% ban rate against him coming into today, not including today's bans
and
as well.
And they're doing the Neeko, okay.
The Neeko,
bit of a carrier special.
I wasn't sure if they'd just go for the Nautilus, just try and have that lockdown, but the Neeko, an incredibly strong pick in its own right, but it will give the Nautilus cross on the other side.
Also, Neeko a bit of a blocker to the Renata pick as well, if they did want to go for the Kalista Renata, which has been very, very popular.
Camille!
Is
support.
it Camille support?
I think it might be.
It could be 369, but I think I'm feeling the Camille support for Meiko. Of course, it was made famous in the LPL. We'll see whether Meiko is going to be able to find some inroads on this champion. A very aggressive bottom lane, but can be extremely volatile as well.
Yeah, I think this is going to put a ton of pressure on towards top esports and Tian specifically to try and get in onto this bottom side. And the ban of the Jacks at least says to me they're probably looking at a Xin Zhao pick for Tian on this next rotation.
Oh, that is a top lane.
It could be a top lane. I would actually, the problem that I've had with 369 at this tournament is that he has consistently gone for the Ksante and the tank picks, and while that has worked out somewhat for them, you can definitely see that with the Vayne, the TFs, and even the Camille's coming through, he has really struggled to have the same impact that you've seen from him domestically. I would love to see him go back to what was the speciality of 369 in top esports in 2020 before he went to JDG. Play the carries, be a massive threat on the side lane, and when he has been having a good series against Broken Blade, I don't see why you don't give that Camille to 369 in the top lane.
Unless he wants to go towards Twisted Fate himself. It's the other sort of giveaway of a Jax ban that you could surmise, as Volibear going to be taken away. Some early game jungle pressure going to be denied here for the moment. We'll see whether it stays towards Tian as far as those jungle bans are concerned.
I mean, bear in mind, Vi has just been ignored this series.
Yeah, the whole series.
Right? These teams do not care. The Rek'Sai has been left up. I guess Top Esports saying that they didn't really consider it that much of a threat. Yike didn't have a massive impact in the early game, but we saw in some of those fights how strong it could be.
I like this from G2.
Yeah, just ban both sides of the equation. The Jax ban is alluding that it wants to pick,
but
they're going to take the Rek'Sai instead. Does this? Rek'Sai top has been heavily nerfed, so I'm assuming this is for Tian, right?
It has to be jungle, and I mean the beauty is there's still that flexibility of the Camille. It's not entirely sure where it's going for G2, so if they do blind pick something like the Ksante, 369 can always move it over towards the top lane.
We'll see exactly where they do decide to go as the IVern. He made it through once again, and that is what Yike is going to be taking into the jungle. See what Mickey is going to take away for Broken Blade, and it looks like it's just going to be the Ksante. A little bit more of a stock standard front-to-back composition here from G2, still with those two marksmen that can help the IVern in the mid-game. Now, where is the Camille going, and what is 369 going to be playing? That's the question.
This is tense. G2 have definitely cooked a little once again in this draft.
Oh no,
looks like we're getting a tank top, gentlemen.
This is a classic. We have seen Udyr, I believe, one other time. It was not great here at MSI.
PSG Azure.
Yeah, and it just didn't really do too much. Azure's win rate on the champion was also absurdly high. Wasn't able to get across the line. This time around, though, it's being wielded by 369. We'll see what TES are going to be able to do with it.
I don't mind the pick specifically into the Ksante. You get a good matchup there. You can like crash fourth wave, get a reset, all that good jazz. But in the grand scheme of what you want from your composition, I just don't think the Udyr is it. Trying to run into Neeko, IVern, Tristana, that is going to be such an awkward moment for 369 in these fights. And you are heavily reliant on this bot lane getting ahead, or it feels like you just run out of steam so quickly as top esports.
And that's the one thing that top esports have not been able to do so far this series. And it was the one thing we thought they were definitely going to be able to do. So we'll see whether maybe, you know, there's been a pep talk for JackeyLove and Meiko, and they can actually come and perform at the level that we know they're capable of, moving here into game number 3 and salvaging this series from what could be a 3-0 for G2.
I will say that there is a lot of dive threat onto Hansama. You know, Camille, Rek'Sai, you've got the package from Corki. Udyr's movement speed is going to be something you have to navigate through. While, of course, there is the IVern to offer that protection, I think it's going to be a little harder based on the compositions we've seen in the prior, compared to the prior series, where they can actually threaten this Draven. But as you rightly said, maybe that doesn't matter because the laning phase is where a lot of this has been determined. The bot lane dominance from Hans and Mickey has really what's been the snowball catalyst to allow G2 to dominate in this series so far.
Some different looks in these drafts. Every time it has been a different game plan, especially from G2. It is once again the IVern. That is one similarity. And the Tristana still in the hands of Caps. This is going to work very differently as far as these 5v5s matching up together, though. Top Esports, this is their last shot at it. If they're going to turn around the series, it has to start now. The Gyos absolutely exploding here in Chengdu, and you can tell these fans also want to get more out of this series.
Oh, they certainly do. They want to see top esports succeed still. But G2, the way that they've been playing this series, it does more than just... I mean, domestically, it's been a long time since any European team has been able to, let alone go toe-to-toe. The fact that they could take a series in 3-0 would be massive for the region.
Well, Meiko going to find himself a hook shot, but he doesn't have very many more buttons, so go back away. In
terms of winning 3-0 here, if they manage it, it would give hope to the possibility of contesting the top spots here at MSI, a possibility that I think many European fans didn't think was a reality coming into this tournament.
But this doesn't feel real for, like, when you look at this G2, this is not the G2 that we saw domestically, where there was mistakes in the early game, people getting caught out. This has been a significantly cleaner G2 that we've seen in MSI, and as you say, Vetty, when top esports pushed Gen G to 5 games, pushed BLG consistently domestically, and now G2 contesting a potential 3-0, it feels like G2 have really risen above what they showed domestically and are now willing and ready to challenge on an international stage.
And Top Esports as an organization has been longing to fight for top spots on the international stage as an LPL representative. I know that Tian gets a lot of stigma from the fans when it comes to his international performances, and being able to reverse sweep here against the European first seed would be monumental for them still. I will not count Top Esports out, especially after their series against Gen G. We'll see how things play out.
And if they do manage to get the reverse sweep, it will be the first time that G2 has been reverse swept. So that could be another, internationally, sorry. That could be another thing that Tian could put under his belt.
And I think for Top Esports is trying to silence a lot of what has been an unfortunate steps for them on the international stage. When you look at, you know, when it came to GAM in Worlds 2022, not the best of showings. Yes, they got to the semi-finals at Worlds 2021, but it was, you know, dropping to Suning, who 2020, sorry, where they were supposed to beat them. They were supposed to go on ahead, but they just could not find that success. And now G2 staring ahead, but Meiko wants to try and change that against Caps.
Yeah, looking for that angle. Caps down to 400 as the hook shot will get the stun. Good buffer. And Caps is still burning, but he is not going to go down. We'll have to back a little bit earlier than he otherwise would have wanted, as 369 just doing some Udyr things on this top side.
I don't understand how Caps just buffers every skill.
Yeah, it's insane.
Like, it's like he sat in practice tool and he's just looked at all of the skills in the game and he's like, I know how to buffer all of these now.
I do love the idea of him sitting in the middle and all 4 other members of G2 throw things. Get used to the buffers.
Well, Tian going to take a fair bit of damage here as Yike coming out of the brush that he just created for himself.
Top Crab is still available. Yike, of course, didn't have the smite, neither did Tian, so there wasn't really much he could do about it, especially on the IVern. playing defensively for the time being. Wants to be on the bot side of the map, though, just because of the lane state. Hans needs to be careful. But they've spotted Tian moving away, which means that the likelihood of a gank, and that ward coming through from Mickey should make Hans feel safe enough to push this underneath the tower and likely get a reset in the near future.
Yep, should be able to make that one work. And Tian, he's on that top side of the map. I believe Yike will be able to get some vision. Yeah, down definitely knows that the Rek'Sai is in the area. Finding the trigger seed there as well. Very nicely done. So he should be able to now very calmly and non-violently take down this Rift Scuttler. Broken Blade on the top side, just dealing with 369's shenanigans. And this is what the Udyr is supposed to do. We didn't see the Udyr doing it last time we saw it here at MSI, but you should always have shove and be able to continually get control of that wave. Something that 369 is doing very well so far, but not being able to deny too much from Broken Blade, who's been able to keep up in farm very nicely as another wave crashes into the bottom lane.
Yeah, I think this for G2 is kind of a, hey, we want to let... Oh, wait a sec.
Yeah, there's a hookshot once again as Hansama could be in trouble. The exhaust has to be used onto Meiko, and that's understandable. Level 4, and is very scary as now JackeyLove with so many sticks into Mickey. He's going to have to flash, but there is a flash after him, and now First Blood goes the other way, and JackeyLove will pick up a double. Draven still managing to get a kill there as the trigger seed landing on this bottom side. JackeyLove going to have to try and get out of here, as I don't think Yike has much left in the tank, and so JackeyLove will be just fine.
Now there is the bot lane of top esports that everyone was expecting. A great punish as Hans and Mickey tried to push another wave underneath the tower. Meiko's Ignite wasn't even back off cooldown yet, but they knew in the extended trade they could come out on top.
Also, getting the Adoration stacks off of the Draven before Meiko goes down is huge, but great engage from Meiko here. And this is the threat of this Camille. The damage with the Halo Blades in the early stages is absolutely absurd. And then, again, great read here. JackeyLove getting a ton of damage, so Meiko just flashes in to get the stack and get a hit, and then they get to follow up. But Hansama dying before the terror shot means those Adoration stacks go to nil.
And in the meantime, there's more of a battle here as Meiko going aggressive onto Caps yet again. Mickey able to come in and at least make it even, but they get the flash out of the Tristana.
Meiko making moves on the map. His second appearance in the mid lane, putting that extra pressure down onto this Tristana. No flash going to be lost for Creme, but Caps losing that flash. You can see how the early game dynamic is very much shifting away from G2 in this game 3.
And a lot of that, what we saw from top esports against Gen G, was Meiko starting that comeback. When he came into game 3, was bringing out the Alistair, having this insane performance.
There's the all-out special delivery of the Udyr towards Yike, who will be able to land the stun. Follows up as well as now 369. I don't think he's going to have anywhere to go. Does have the ghost running, but Broken Blade will be able to keep up, finds the Q and finds the kill.
Nicely done by Broken Blade to get the knockback right as Yike is there. Void Grubs will still go the way of top esports, but a big win for Broken Blade on that top side, just getting some much needed gold and some much needed help in that bad matchup.
I feel like this is just the same game 2. Didn't we? Bot lane, double kill, Ksante getting a kill with a gank top lane, gold relatively even. This is very familiar. Yike now making his presence known in the bot lane. Corki has the push in mid.
Well, Meiko and JackeyLove look like they're just going to try and exit this one.
Oh, the cannon minion tech from Mickey, drawing aggro, turning into a minion so he can tank a few more tower shots. But they just walk away with the plate. And now look at the goal difference in bot lane, actually neutralized, even though JackeyLove has a 2-kill advantage.
Also, Mickey, I think, running the Demolish there as well. So if you can get some of those shots off and they can continue to push in the wave, they can look to start playing off of these turret plates. As the word back in on the minimap broke my brain for a second, but it's going to be Mickey making his way back to base.
Yeah, one of those things as 369 now just trying to farm between these turrets. Broken Blade going to have to get back and will be able to clear this one out. But more plates going down and the Udyr doing exactly what it says on the tin despite that death. Now has those plated steel caps completed. Yike going to be spotted with the tremor sense here as Tian gets that information. Good side steps from Caps on these rockets. Says, okay, Tian looks for an opportunity. Doesn't actually go in though. They spot the IVern moving over. Nice little shield there as Caps will be absolutely fine.
Just one of my favorite things to watch with Caps is many players around the world will often test him. You know, a lot of people would have W'd there or hesitated at the risk of a potential flash. But no, he holds his ground. He only really saves those things to the last moment. Sometimes he plays his limits too far and he gets solo killed by a Corki. But you know, that is the pros and cons of Caps. Sometimes you get creps, sometimes you get claps. And overall, he is having an incredible tournament.
He certainly is. Now taking a fair bit of damage here in this mid lane as Meiko turns up, finds the Hex Tech sweep as now Yike not going to be able to get the stun. Good buster shot on Meiko. Yeah, he's up the creek and he does not have a paddle. That is going to be the first kill for Caps. He's on the board.
This time around, Vetty, he baits them in perfectly with the jump and the shield coming through, and even having Mickey as a cohort in that play as well. Nicely done by G2. I can see Tian waiting up to the side, but round two.
All out does come on through here from Broken Blade as 369 in trouble. And the Ksante's got a few more buttons in the tank and we'll be able to get that dash on over. Q gonna connect, and that should spell the end of 369. The Udyr just not working.
A bit of redemption for Broken Blade. Ooh, the ultimate from Hansama almost connecting onto Creme. But we think back to the fact that JackeyLove was able to get a 2-kill lead in this bottom lane. But it's not quite snowballing in the same way that we saw from G2 in the previous series, or sorry, in the previous games of this series, I should say. As Broken Blade now continuing to mount an advantage on the top side of the map. Nothing too crazy or significant, but so far, G2 don't feel like they've lost control after that bot lane blunder.
But this is the way a lot of people saw this series coming into it was, look, JackeyLove and Meiko more than likely going to win out in the 2v2, but it's the top side that is going to be the main focus. And the question was, what does 369 look like? But BB, despite the poor matchup in the early stage and fall behind, that first gank, giving him much needed gold, giving him the little bit of resistance as he needed, and now he's able to go toe-to-toe with 369, pulling him in behind the tower. And this is where, if G2 can continue this pressure, you've got a massive Ksante that, realistically, JackeyLove on lethality Kalista won't be able to deal with.
Top Esports still with the control over these neutral objectives, though. They've gotten the first 3 grubs of the game. They're going to secure the first dragon to boot. A relatively late one, once again, 10.5 minutes into the game. This is a better scenario for G2 because they are more of a scaling composition. When you're running double AD carry with the IVern, you want more time to generate, well, the items. And if they're able to delay the start of those next dragons, it means they just have more time to get ready for the fight.
Also, Chemtech and now Cloud Dragon are going to be off the card, so this is going to be a pretty valuable soul when it does come up and available. G2, though, at the moment, just trying to keep it slow. Again, I think coming back to, hey, let's just try and keep BB in the matchup now that he's winning. Cap's fine, but Tian wants to change that.
Yep, Tian going a bit aggressive. We'll take a few autos as Caps follows him. Yike turns up to the mid lane to make it a 2v2, and Tian is just going to back away.
But this is the thing, I think G2 are hitting a point where they are very comfortable in these matchups. As Creme gonna be in trouble.
Gonna have to use that Valkyrie, does use it to get himself out of dodge, but still gonna lose out on the trade. It's good shield from Yike, makes sure that Caps is absolutely fine. Tian does have flash available, not gonna go for it though, looking for the knock up onto the Tristana.
Meiko had started to roam up, you can see he was spotted just on him, war displaced by the blue buff, so gonna be able to back away instead. They don't want to try and take that fight, but no, it happens again.
Yeah, BB, it's, all right, I've seen this one before. This time he's going to bring him underneath the turret. Yike is also there to try and help out. Ghost getting 369 a bit of distance here, but BB's still going to find that Q. Another snare is going to connect, and Daisy now comes out. And 369, surely that Ghost is going to run out relatively soon. Does get to the safety of his turret, though, and Daisy, she will unfortunately run out of health. Tian not able to help with the play either, though.
This should be able to secure the grubs for G2. I say that, though. Tian has just come over the wall. He's looking to fight Yike. Of course he is. Yike can't really do much in the dueling. Caps forced to bait, has the TP available, choosing not to invest it just yet. I stand corrected, Top Esports still feeling confident to secure these grubs with Creme back out onto the map and having the package available. Further objectives will be secured. Top Esports still in good control of this early game.
The reset from Hansama and Mickey later than JackeyLove and Meiko, so Top Esports know that they would have had the reinforcements coming through quicker, so they managed to force that play through with 369 teleporting in. BB still hasn't gone for his reset yet. Looks like he's going to try and farm up a little bit more before he tries to go back and get that, at least spend some of that gold that he's gotten off a small lead for himself.
Well, this game is going to be a lot more about team fighting than what we've seen in the previous games. Early domination was the name of the game for G2, largely driven by their bot lane, but with a much more neutral mid-game state. We'll see how things transition as we now see the swaps coming out from both sides.
But this is where I think Top Esports just don't have anyone to really deal with the Ksante. We saw a lot of teams starting to go back over towards on hit. Hang on.
Yeah, Mickey looks for it, gets the flash out of Creme. And JackeyLove and Meiko moving down towards this bottom side. Not going to be catching G2 unawares this time around, though, as the PS does a fair bit of damage, but not enough to really do anything here. As we're back to an honest 2v2.
Yeah, I think this is where, though, like, JackeyLove will be fine. Hang on, maybe I don't make this point anymore.
Nice little knock up there as Tian not going to invest the ulti or anything like that. Is now looking to burrow his way back, but Caps should be fine. Buster shot still up and available, and now there's the Void Rush. Caps gonna have to flash, gets himself out of the way, and Yike is once again there to be the savior for his mid laner. Still a lot invested here for G2 to keep Caps alive.
Yike has had a fantastic tournament, consistently in the places that he needs to be. Will lose out here because that health bar was whittled down, but just needs to make sure there's nothing following him as that fake Neeko checks that Tian is still in the bush, and Top Esports at least will back away.
Yeah, Daisy gets amongst it. She has a health bar, even if Yike doesn't. Caps going to teleport back to lane. Will help pick up all of that CS. It's now Mickey could be in trouble. Hookshot comes down. There's a Hextech ultimatum. And they just execute the Neeko. Once again, Daisy comes in, but she's a little bit too late. Unless Meiko doesn't have anything left. Whirling Death comes down. Nice little knock-up from Daisy from beyond the grave. Still not going to be able to get the kill on the Camille.
Glacial Augment almost slowing Meiko enough to allow for the run back of Hansama's ultimate to secure that kill. But a mistake there from Mickey. He tries to bait his opponents in, but it's G2 are not in a good position to punish that aggression. Top Esports find themselves another kill. Whoa. Interrupt doesn't quite come through from JackeyLove. But I think one of the biggest discrepancies we've seen is Tian has a pretty healthy lead. The question is, does that lead matter? Can this Rek'Sai really do anything with the advantage that he's been able to gain over Yike? Because again, you've got to remember that this champion is a support, right? The whole responsibility of Yike in this game is not to be a massive carry, it's to help his carries. And as long as Caps and Hansama are in a good spot, he's happy.
Well, Mickey once again in trouble, gonna have to flash this time around. Meiko gonna hook shot forward, but not gonna invest too much more. Does have his flash available as well.
You do have to be careful.
Drake just up.
You have to be careful as G2. You're not really in a position to fight for this, and the lack of vision is going to make it very tough. Mickey having no flash as well means he's way less threatening in one of these fights. So Caps at least getting pushed in mid does dissuade Top Esports a little bit, but I wouldn't be surprised to see Top try and force this Dragon with 369 our TP coming up relatively soon.
I mean, I will say that Top Esports have had impeccable control over the neutrals thanks to Tian's play. G2's looking to get a little bit feisty around this objective. Items have started to come through. The Moramana finished for Creme as JackeyLove gets the push in mid. Creme is likely going to go and answer by catching that bot wave, but Top Esports doing a solid job in this early game. Again, we talked about it. It's going to come down to the execution of these fights. How well can Hansama survive? Do G2 have enough frontline damage to be able to get through the tanks of Tian and 369? And how much of a problem is Creme going to be? Long-range poke. We know I mean, we've seen it from Creme, we've seen it from Chovy. This champion can be obnoxious and deal a lot of damage once it gets the required items.
I think it's just BB is going to be such an issue. The fact you've got this massive lead against the Udyr, you can see the Mastercard lane economy snapshot, 400 gold lead. He's going to be able to already have the Caden Broker and then go the Iceborne Gauntlet off, I imagine, a near in time reset. And from that point on, I just don't see Kalista really dealing with you. So it comes down to Creme, essentially, to try and kill BB, which is going to be such a daunting task for this Corki.
Well, the other question is, can Broken Blade even get in range, right? Corki, very long-range champion, a lot of poke at his disposal. The engage tools of G2 aren't actually the easiest. They'd much rather you come into them, right? Which is the advantage of Tian, Udyr, Camille, all very big diving champions. They want to come into you. So maybe this is something that this Ksante can leverage as we approach the mid to late game.
Well, Meiko now looking for a potential dive angle. Mickey down here towards the bottom side, pretending to be Yike. And that is going to be enough to deter Top Esports. Still, G2 not going to find anything back off the other end of it. Caps gets a ward in. We'll be able to take down that control ward as the real Yike also going to show up. Hansama in the mid lane just trying to defend as JackeyLove continues to push wave after wave in there. The gold difference, only about 600, barely anything between these two, and it's a much better look for Top Esports. As another Q back there from Broken Blade, but 369 just caring less and less, it feels like, as we're having a look at it in the picture-in-picture. Put that one away, though. The wet noodles don't necessarily need to be observed right now.
2 towers to 0. Top Esports building small but significant advantages as they gain more control over the map. They did concede that last dragon, but it's going to be a Hextech Soul. One of the most powerful, if not the most powerful soul that exists in the game right now. The Herald also available, and it's Top Esports that have control over it. You can see them with a nice reset coming through. They've been able to push in these waves. Tian's going to start this one off. Caps is still sitting in the bot lane, but of course does have the TP. I don't know if G2 feel confident enough to try and fight this early on, though.
Don't know whether they have enough information as Mickey does get his clone into that brush. Control ward's still going to be there, though, for top esports.
Yeah,
just going to give it up.
Just going to give it up. The reset coming through from BB as well. He just, well, I'd imagine picked up his Vice Foreign Gauntlet, so they're not really looking to fight right now, and more than likely be for the next Dragon where they try and look towards it. But especially with 2 items completed there for JackeyLove and a lot more coming through, I think it's the right call for G2.
Well, Mickey trying to be tricky here, but yeah, the minion is just going to lose interest in being with the herd. That is going to give away his position. Jackie just clearing out wave after wave. And it's this sort of slowdown that I do get a little bit worried about for G2, because the acceleration of the pace of the game has been very prevalent in the last 2 games. This time around, though, we're playing more to the tune of top esports.
Definitely feels like it, especially with the small lead that they do have and the way that they've been moving around the map. I think a lot of it is just because Tian is so much stronger than Yike is, pretty much throughout the early to mid game, and so G2 have deliberately avoided trying to fight. We look at the number of stacks, that's 400 Handsama has now ticked over to. If he's able to cash that out, that's going to be a pretty significant gold swing, but that's why, again, we've been building it up. The team fights are where this game is going to be determined. Can G2 execute a proper fight, or will they fall short to top esports here?
Well, BB a little bit aggressive in his positioning here, chasing after Creme, but he can absorb quite a few of these rockets. Doesn't quite find the Q there as he gets rid of one of these tunnels. G2 still just testing the waters, seeing where they're allowed to go on this map right now, as Creme gonna have to Valkyrie to get out of the way of BB, and now Tian diving forward, doesn't quite find his opportunity as the Rift Herald heads down towards that bottom side. They've got one of their own, though, in Daisy, who will pop up and try and do some damage back. Rift Herald's going to be able to take that one down. There's the flash. Pop Blossom only onto one, but Tian still going to have to flash to get himself out of the way. And now the Fate's Call onto Meiko. He's going to dive in. They take down Mickey. Hextech Ultimatum comes in as well as Broken Blade goes all out. But Handsama, he'll cash in. That's so much money in the fight. And they lose the turret, but they cash in on their Draven.
1 for 1, but a 1,120 gold cash out for Handsama, sitting on the Infinity Edge as well. They might not be done the flank TP.
Yeah, Yike looking for that opportunity. The Valkyrie not going to quite be enough here. He does still have the flash available as Broken Blade. He can tank this one up for as long as he wants. That flash was not exactly the one they were looking for as BB still tanking it up, and it's another shutdown going over to Handsama.
Right before the Dragon spawns as well, G2 managed to find a lot of these punishing picks. 369 still pushing in against Caps, though. Caps will need a reset before this Dragon really becomes a factor, but 369 hovering.
I will say that fight, I think, was well played by top esports overall. I got worried for Tian, but a very quick flash takes him away to safety. But once the fight kind of broke out, Handsama's positioning was good enough that he could able to turn the kill around. Nice initiation, but a great ulti from JackeyLove brings his support to safety, but he gets rooted up, so he can't really get involved in the fight. Meiko then finds himself a little isolated, but with Tian, they're able to lock down Mickey and get that kill. Another nice ulti from Meiko looks promising as he tries to keep Broken Blade isolated, but then Broken Blade uses his ulti to set up for Meiko to lose his life as well. 1 for 1. Hans gets a second, and look at that, he's already...
Oh my
LDR!
God.
LDR
Oh
secured
God.
for Handsama.
And it was basically for free, because he gets the cash in and uses all of that gold. 3 items now completed, and his are a little more expensive than what JackeyLove has put together himself. Once again, going for the Serpent's Fang, a fair few shields, especially coming from Yike on this IVern. It's almost like the IVern tax that you have to pay.
And the thing is, if you actually get into a fight that's the 4 versus 4, there's not really a big tank, right? Yes, you've got Tian who's gone for the Titanic Hydra, he'll have some health. But Handsama can really just tear through people with the 3 items that he's managed to pick up. So this Draven, very, very scary right now. And this might put a little bit of a dent into what top esports want to do. I think we're going to see them more go for this hit and run style, which is get pushing mid, start to try and get some vision control so we can look for isolated 1v1s or 2v2s rather than going up against this Draven.
Well, once again, it's Caps trying to match 369 here in this side lane. He's going to have to get himself out of the way here as the very angry Udyr will send another minion wave towards the Tristana.
Yeah, you can see how tanky 369 really is. He is an absolute beast right now. Armor penetration is going to be required due to the lack of AP damage coming out from the side of G2. I mean, so far, full AD comps haven't really been punished at MSI. We'll see if this could be the first. Hans doesn't know that Tian's there.
Yeah. They have control vision in the area as now the Pop Blossom is going to be used onto JackeyLove. He gets snared, but in the meantime, Hansama, he has to flash into the Baron pit. He's alive for a while, but there is the Void Rush. Broken Blade will be able to take down Creme though, and they're running out of damage on the side of top esports. Caps is going to go down as well though, and it's a 3 versus 3. Broken Blade realizing he's the last one that can really do too much. He takes down Meiko. 3 versus 2 now. Tian and 369 trying to get something done, but I don't think 369 is going to be able to do it. Tian also realizing he cannot offer anything in the fight, and the knockback onto this Udyr who just cannot do it. He'll get knocked up, Daisy gets involved. It took a while, but they take him down and G2 win the fight.
BB stands for big boy in this case, the 5-0-2 on the Ksante. He will not go down without a fight, tearing through top esports. And yes, they got the Draven, but we talked about already, nobody can kill this Ksante, and the proof is in the pudding.
It's a battle of the brawlers. G2 find JackeyLove on the backside. He gets taken out by Yike and Mickey. Meanwhile, Hansama is isolated with all the dive that comes through from top esports, which then just becomes a battle of mids, who then both get taken out by top laners. And then it's just, again, the battle of top lane. I did not expect these fights to devolve into just Broken Blade versus 369, but this Ksante is just tearing top esports apart.
Not to mention having this IVern alongside him as well, the augmentation that you can give to the other members of your team, it does give you that little bit extra that G2 are able to leverage. And now with some control, they're getting all the vision around this Baron, 10-6. Now the kill score, and finally G2 have a gold lead.
And again, it's Yike being really good on point with his Qs. Same when you look at Mickey getting these lockups. They're not easy to hit, but they're making it look easy as
Could I play-by-play this one?
Is anyone taking damage? I can't.
Is anyone?
Do they see the shields?
I mean, they're padding their DPS stats. I get it. I get it. I mean, I think Broken Blade is winning.
I think so too. But I don't know whether...
Is anyone really winning here?
We are the viewers.
We are the viewers. That's a good point. Thank you, Atlus. TP?
Oh my god.
All right,
wait, no, TP on 369.
Yeah, he's just going to teleport right in there. And 369, he can run pretty quick, but I don't think he can run fast enough.
They got to keep Tian out of the pit.
Comes down as well. Exactly right. It's all about this Rek'Sai and his positioning. They know exactly where he is. Now, can they find it? There's no package. Oh, there's either, and there it is. It's going to be secured by Yike, and now top esports, what are they going to do? They want to try and get rid of these Barons, but they can't do anything about it, and finally 369 turns up, but it doesn't mean anything, the Baron's gone.
35 seconds until Dragon as well, G2, that is a massive pickup. That might have just been the play that breaks open top esports.
The mid game. The thing that they've been talking about this whole year that they wanted to improve, that right there was a perfect example of it. Broken Blade just trading with 369. They knew the timers, they were setting up for the Baron that whole time. And then they're able to sneak it away. A great ultimate from Caps to keep Tian away from the steal, and now the siege begins.
Again, has to burrow his way up. They're not going to be able to take this inner turret just yet, but with the Dragon spawning, I think G2 are probably wanting to get a Hextech Drake of their own. Creme does now have the package. G2 is so much positional advantage.
And top esports did get to reset, but the Dragon already taken. Mickey spotted. Top esports want the fight.
Yeah, Mickey, they are going to find the right one here as Tian may have chased a little bit too far, taking so much burst damage as now Daisy gets in amongst Creme. What was that? He's just going to get executed by the Draven. They'll take their Baron, they'll take a Dragon, they'll take a mid laner, and they'll go home and spend that money.
The desperation is starting to set in for top esports. They can feel the game slipping away. A 3-0 for G2 is on the horizon as Hansama secures himself his 4th kill of the game.
I can't believe what we're watching. G2 on the brink of a 3-0 win against the LPL 2nd seed. G2 marching down the bot lane. It's still a minute left on this Baron buff. They will not let up.
And without Creme, it's going to be so hard to defend. This inhibitor turret should be going down, and look at Broken Blade. It's exactly what you were talking about, Dagda. He is impossible to stop. His health bar just keeps going. The inhibitor will be taken down here, and G2, they're poised for the 3-0.
They have the Nexus in their eyes. They're not gonna stop. This Ksante!
We've only just respawned, and will now be just executed on the fountain. There is another one for Hans Sama. G2 will take down the first Nexus turret.
Come on, you boys!
About revenge for G2 in Tian's home turf. They will take down Top Esports and knock them out of the tournament.
This was not the way today was supposed to go. This was not what was supposed to happen for Top Esports.
The Nexus will finally get focused, but I think G2 want a few extra kills. Caps grabs one as Creme's back in the death chamber. There goes Tian. It's a double for the Trist, make it a triple, and there goes the Nexus. A 3-0 for G2.
What, when, how? All of the above. G2 just 3-0 Top Esports.
An incredible series from Europe's first seed. For the first time in 4 years, G2 will take down an Eastern team, and they will not drop a game doing it.
That was absolutely ridiculous. The fact that it's also Hans Sama showing JackeyLove how to win on Draven in the 3rd game to finish the series. What an absolute statement from G2.
A performance that has been 2 years in the making. Talk after talk has been said about how they want to improve the mid-game. They want to compete at the highest level. And G2 are finally walking that walk. What an incredible performance. JackeyLove looks baffled.
I know this might seem strange in terms of the expectation, but like, what an incredible run. Expectations were so low for Europe coming into this tournament. If we could be competitive, we would have been happy. The T1 series, we were already feeling pretty